There's still some people joining. Hello, welcome to our Justurbanities online conference, the first of three we might end. So you will hear from us again. We're very glad that you have time, so close to Christmas. We know everybody is busy. Everybody has a lot of things to do. So thank you for joining us. I think maybe I'd look at Christina a little bit, one more minute, if we have time to spare, to wait, everybody can join, and then let's start. And if you haven't done, the Christmas quiz is still open. I have good news for you. I can see nobody is like in Grinch mode. Nobody is not gifting, is not buying gifts for other people. But we will go over the results real quick and then start a bit more serious. Okay, I see that, yeah, a lot of people are here. I think it's 4:07 Central European time. In Romania, it's already an hour later. So we will start. Let's have a quick look at the quiz. Let's see what you guys thought. Oh, okay. I see a lot of people still have some work to do. Last minute heroes. December 24 is my shopping day, so a lot of people first actually maybe have still some work to do. Nobody likes fruitcake, surprisingly. And a lot love the mulled wine, because, yeah, I gotta say, one of the best things at this time of year. We will have our Christmas party in Graz tomorrow. We will have mulled wine stand as well. And with the Christmas decoration, yeah, a few early birds already, a few traditionalists, and a few of you, 40% do not have a tree, which you don't necessarily need. And then let's see, is there any die-hard fans actually? Yeah, a few, like me. But Love Actually is like one of the best films anyways. So with this little short quiz to get us warmed up, I welcome you again and the word to Maria to start the conference officially. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I will be the timekeeper of this conference. Welcome to the first online conference of Justurbanities. I will hand over to Andra that will introduce the conference, talking about the agenda and the roles of the participation. I remind you that this conference will be recorded, so if anybody has anything to inform us about this, please do. Andra?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Charlie and Maria, and Charlie for this lovely way of welcoming participants. So I'm welcoming you and giving you some clues about the admin part, agenda of the conference, and rules of participation. So I'm happy to see that participants joining from different countries and different professional backgrounds, as much as I know it, are joining in. I'm Andra Crista. I'm an anthropologist based in Bucharest and part of the ATU, the Association for Urban Transition from Bucharest, an organization that connects citizens, educators, and decision makers in collective learning and decision-making processes. So, today's conference is part of the Justurbanities project, an European collaboration that brings together partner organizations from several countries. We are here in a consortium of 7 countries from Germany, Comparative Research Network, CRN, Romania, ATU, as I said, Italy, Fondazione E35 and Euronet, Sweden, almost there, Austria, Stadtlabor from Graz, and Poland, SNDE from Sopot. Each one of us, we have different experience in working with urban communities, local administration, and participatory processes. This international collaboration allows us to compare practices, but also to reflect critically on the limits of transferring solutions from one context to another. Our main aim today is not to offer recipes, but to open an honest conversation about participation practices, urban crises, and knowledge gathering. What works, what doesn't work, and what still needs to be imagined. And now a few words about the format of this meeting. The conference is structured in 2 main parts. Each one will have 2 short presentations combined with an interactive moment. You will be invited to write, respond, question, and if you wish to intervene in the Q&A section, prepared for the middle part of this meeting. Participation is not mandatory, but it is very welcome in any form because we encourage dialogue. For questions and comments throughout the session, my colleague Maria is in charge with this part, and she will be collecting your questions in the chat. So whenever you feel like asking or you have some stuff you wonder about, you can, during the presentations, you can write it down in the chat, and Maria will talk about in the Q&A section. And also during the Q&A session, you can ask the question directly and have a dialogue on it. Maybe a few more simple rules that make things easier for everyone. If you have the floor for the first time, please briefly introduce yourself. Questions can also be commented on by other participants, not only by the speakers of this conference. We are not looking, of course, for perfect answers, but for honest and very much needed critical perspectives. As Maria said, the conference is being recorded and the materials will be shared afterwards. In addition, your certificate proving you're attending to this conference will be sent by us through email to each participant by the beginning of the next week. So these are the rules. This is the admin part, and I will now gladly invite James Scott, the founder of CRN and professor in Eastern Finland University, to say a few words.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi everybody. James here, James Scott, a geographer by background and working since 2008. I used to work in Berlin, but since 2008, working in Finland, in North Karelia at the University of Joensuu, University of Eastern Finland, better said, and looking at borders, border regions, cross-border cooperation, and more recently, looking at things related to territorial cohesion, governance, democratic governance, and participation. And I've been involved in a couple of projects, and several of you have been partners in those projects, funded by the EU, dealing with issues of inclusionary democratic participation. And yes, so I'm very glad to be here. I'm not going to kind of give you some kind of a structured lecture. I just basically want to address and express my own interest and support for projects like Justurbanities, because I think that they are actually rather important. in terms of developing awareness about how democracy needs to be fomented, it needs to be promoted. It's not something that is self-explanatory. It's something that needs constant care and innovation in terms of finding ways to involve people and keep the interest going in democratic processes, because it really is not a it's not a self-steering process. Um, I was involved in a previous iteration of this project. It was called Urbanities. So it was targeting many of the objectives of Justurbanities. It was about gaming, developing interesting ways to engage people who might not otherwise, let's say, be interested in getting involved in local affairs, in getting involved in community work, uh, targeting, let's say, the development of their own communities. A lot of people don't understand what's the point of getting involved? What's the point of me getting involved because my voice doesn't count? It's the politicians out there who are making the decisions, isn't it? Right. And the idea behind the e-urbanities is, and I guess just urbanities as a continuation of that, is that in contrast, we need to show that local participation matters very much because community cohesion is, I think, one of the most basic and most important building blocks of democracy. We know right now um, we are confronted every day. Every day we open the newspaper, open the computer, and see the kind of news that is being presented to us. That democracy is in crisis. I don't have to kind of lecture you about this. There are big politicians out there who don't seem to really care about the rule of law. They don't really seem to care about freedom of speech or the rule of law. In fact, they flaunt um, um, the rule of law and they promote hate speech and anti-democratic behaviors. And all you have to do is look at the present, unfortunately, the present president of the United States to just see how weird, how crazy the situation has actually gotten. And in Europe, in the European context, we also see crisis situations where politicians are um, openly challenging democratic principles. So democracy is an experiment. Democracy is not. There's no clear trajectory towards success. There's no clear indication that democracy will survive in the European Union or elsewhere. It really depends on us to build it, to keep it going, to maintain momentum, and to maintain the belief that through cooperation, through collaborative exercises, that it can be promoted. That's why I think projects such as Justurbanities are quite important. The other comment I would like to make is that I think, and maybe I already said this, I will repeat it anyway, is that cohesion is I think, central to democracy. So the sense of belonging to a community that is inclusive, that gives people voice, a place where people can recognize themselves as having a role, as having a voice, as being part of a community rather than being excluded, I think is very much what we need in order to make the democratic context here a healthier one. Because a lot of the problems that we are experiencing with populism, with right-wing populism, and the exploitation of anxieties, popular anxieties, is the fact that many people feel themselves excluded, feel themselves marginalized, and don't really believe in the positive power of democratic participation. And this is exactly what the right wing wants. They want division. They want fragmentation. They don't like unity. They don't like cohesion. They don't like cooperation because it creates power. It creates local power, and local power that can that represents, not can, but does represent, an oppositional force to autocracy. And that's why another reason why I think that projects like Justurbanities are quite important. So I'm observing this not um, as a participant in the project, just as a very interested, supportive observer. And I wish you. It's already been 1 year since the project has started. Um, and I wish you continued success with Justurbanities, and I will be very happy to keep um, myself informed about what's going on and future events, and maybe I might even show up at one of your events. Surprise, surprise! In the future. So I think that's enough for me because you don't have that much time to actually discuss among yourselves. So I will just disappear. I mean, I will be in the background, but thanks for tolerating my few words of introduction, and all the best to you, and have a good conference.
Thank you very much, James. I think this speech of yours, beautifully spoken, gives us kind of a summing up all our work in this project. Also, we encourage collaboration, participatory processes, togetherness in the communities. So thank you very much for this welcoming speech. And now we have prepared you the first interactive part, maybe the second after Charlie's quiz. This is a word cloud that we are trying, through which we are trying to find out which are your experiences with participatory methods in practice. If you look at the screen, you have a QR code which will lead you to an answer garden window. And also, if you have an eye on the chat, Maria will give us a link for the ones that are accessing Answer Garden from the computer, maybe. So each way you will be leaded to the same window. And we are asking you kindly to write 3 words that are coming to your mind when you think about participatory processes you have experienced. I give you 3 or 4 minutes for that, and we will look together at the cloud created to have an overview about how we understand together this kind of practice. If you have any problems with the link, please do say. So from now on, we have 3 minutes until 4 and 26 minutes.
I will start sharing the results so we can slowly see
Thank you.
what everybody has typed in.
So 1 more minute, please. Okay, I think we're fine. Thank you for this part and for giving us some hints about your experience with participatory processes. Let's take a moment to look at it together. What I see here is a very, very different experiences coexisting, like hard and fun in the same time. Some words relate to the most hard part of the work, but the others are talking about like exciting, empathy, the good part and the beautiful part of this kind of work. We are all, I think, doing it somehow here. And it's kind of nice to see all these words together. I think this is not the case for analyze it or having a larger discussion on this, but I think it pretty well sums up how we are going through these processes, starting with the hard part and at the end with the beautiful part when people are coming together, facilitated by these processes and people that are working in this participatory mode. I think we can move to the next part of this conference. Thank you very much for this time and for this workload. In the next part, we prepared you some close look at how local knowledge and lived experience are collected and translated into participatory tools. And I give the floor to Christina, who will have a few words on the overall project we are all working on. So, Christina.
Thank you very much, Andra, and welcome everybody. I'm really happy to see that you are so much, and thank you also, James, for your introducing words. So my name is Cristina Kereste. I am project manager at Comparative Research Network, and we are coordinating this project. And so as a start, just let me introduce you slowly, quickly, not slowly, this project. Justurbanities, what it is about. So basically, the basic aim of Justurbanities is to support and strengthen local communities of deprived urban neighborhoods to face the challenges linked to the polycrisis era, which we are currently living in, meaning that there is a growing overlapping of different types of crises, let's say about energy and climate change, geopolitical conflicts, the health-related lockdowns. As James mentioned, the current political issues, populism, social tensions, growing social and spatial inequalities, and we could continue the list, I guess. So our aim is to support local communities to use participatory tools for tackling these issues, and also to provide them a view and a way to achieve just social transition. So basically, a way of green transition, but in a way to offer also social equality to local communities. So Justurbanities is a 3-year-long project in the frame of Erasmus Plus program, and it's run, as already Andra presented, by 7 partners in 6 countries and 7 different cities, which is an important thing because all our activities are linked to this. So basically, our main result will be an online game-based learning tool, which will address and teach citizens, stakeholders, but also civil servants and municipal employees about participatory methods and tools and how these can be used for increasing resilience of communities. And as James mentioned, we are the follow-up of 2 previous projects, Urbanities 1 and 2, which were also following the similar structure and which also developed a game-based learning tool. You can check them on our previous website, urbanities.org. The difference now that we are really talking about the specific case of local crises, how citizens can come up to fight and to be resilient. And also we opened our teaching activities to municipal employees and civil servants. Justurbanities has 3 pillars in our activities. The first one is knowledge gathering, and basically this pillar is why now we are here at our first online conference, because we will have 3 online conferences during this project. And actually the knowledge gathering is an important part because we are really involved and engaged to support our game design, our curriculum, our learning activities on concrete knowledge coming from the communities and coming from the neighborhoods. So basically, during the past year, we made a needs assessment, we collected good practices, and we did a foresight activity in all of the localities participating in the project, and you will learn about all these in a couple of minutes. Second pillar is game design and gamification. So these are the parts that are starting right now based on the results of our local research. We currently are working on game tests. So we are testing all the previous games that we developed and others developed. We are organizing local game jams, so basically bringing up ideas from the local communities, from our colleagues and local partners for ideas about how game tools, game ideas can be brought up, and then we will test them and gather them in a transnational event in the end of January. And after this, we started the game prototyping. And parallel to this, we will start also the curriculum development. So basically working on the training tool that we would like to use, and we would like to embed the game into it. So we test, first of all, again, good practice learning methods with local communities and partners. And then we will start prototyping this curriculum, embed the game into it, and at the very end of it, we will test the game and the curriculum together at a transnational training. We have some core values, of course. The first one is that we really think it's important, as I mentioned, that all the game and the curriculum, all the results of our project will be embedded into the local knowledge. So basically, the story of our game, the practices that we will use, we will teach, they will all be developed based on the local needs, based on the local feedbacks, the feedbacks of our partners, local communities. And we therefore put an important stress on the fact that the outcome are co-designed by our partners and by their local communities. So the co-creation is also accompanied by an iterative process. So we always have the feedback on our results, the feedback of our partners and communities. And of course, our core values are also including inclusivity, equality, and sustainability, as it is obvious. In order to answer to these values or to keep these values, we follow the design thinking approach. You might have already heard about this or you know about this. It's basically a way to design a result by always keeping close to the needs and to the feedbacks of the users of the product that we are preparing. We are also working closely, as we said, to the local communities. Therefore, we create local stakeholder panels. So this is basically a group of local people, stakeholders, NGO leaders, participants, citizens, decision makers who are following our project, who are invited all the time to visit, to come and participate at our local events, who are informed about our achievements, and of course who are very welcome to add any comments, any ideas, or ask us any questions, or invite us to any events of themselves. And of course, we test our products at local co-design workshops. And just last but not least, some words about the expected impacts that we have foreseen. So we think about 4 different levels of impact. The first is, first of all, ourselves, the partners of this project, and their close collaborators. So we will have a factual, increased methodological knowledge about how to create a game, how to create a learning tool, how to work on the local level, and how to teach participation. And of course, we will have an increased network that we will be able to use in the future and develop in the future in our activities. Sorry, but somehow it went away.
Go back.
I tried to go back. But I will continue while trying to go back. Sorry for this. What is maybe the most important level is the neighborhood and the local levels. So we would like to empower these local communities we are working with, provide new knowledge, new skills, including digital skills, because the game is a digital game, for enhancing citizen participation, to teach the tools and methods of participation. We also would like to have an impact on the local policy levels, because first time in this long story of e-urbanities and Justurbanities, now we would really have an impact on the local authorities, hopefully, and policymakers. And we would like to touch there, because basically the majority nowadays of participatory processes are initiated by local authorities, local governments. So it's interesting to teach them about the tools and methods to be used in these activities. And of course, we also will have an impact on the EU policy level, because we will formulate policy briefs, some ideas, recommendations on how to deal with this issue, how the community engagement can be supported and empowered in order to face the polycrisis era on the local, the national, and the European levels with the use of participation. So thank you very much. This was a very rough presentation of our project. And of course, every question are more than welcome, as Andra said, on the chat, and we will answer these at a later moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. I shall be repeating as well about the questions and remarks or any thoughts that are really welcome in the chat. I will talk about, yes, it's working. Beautiful. We, the ATU team, we were in charge this year to analyze all the needs assessment from all the 7 neighborhoods we were researching together. So basically, what I will present to you this evening is the analysis across these 7 European neighborhoods. This is basically a transnational synthesis of our needs assessment research based on almost 140 empathy interviews. Basically, each partner made 20 interviews, and we brought it up together and analyzed it. over this past year. Interviews and empathy maps collected across 7 neighborhoods in Europe. Where? So, the 7 cities where we focused on neighborhoods were Berlin, Sopot, in Poland, Potenza, in Italy, Göteborg in Sweden, Graz in Austria, Reggio Emilia in Italy, and of course Bucharest in Romania. So we basically had the challenge to analyze 7 contexts, 7 histories, and yet surprisingly 7 interconnected stories. To be sincere, it was one of the most challenging research that I and my colleagues have done. It was a really interesting process to look at all these 7 ways of understanding urban context and communities. And how did we did that? As a methodology, we listened to residents as they shared how they live, they feel, and move through their neighborhoods. Basically, it was a very bottom-up view and kind of openness to their needs, their understandings. By using empathy interviews and empathy mappings, we uncovered a powerful pattern despite the very different local context, because as you heard, there are 7 different cultures and urban contexts over
Sandra?
Europe. Yes.
Somebody says that they can't hear you. Maybe you can talk louder.
I will try, but I haven't modified anything since the beginning. Is it well now?
I can
Okay.
hear you fine.
Thank you. So all the partners use an empathy-driven approach inspired by design thinking method, doing empathy interviews, empathy maps, narrative synthesis, and this method basically helped us move beyond formal consultation, public consultation, into deep listening, capturing both emotional and practical needs. Why these empathy methods were effective? Because they reveal truth that standard surveys really catch. Empathy interviews allowed us to discover unspoken tensions from those communities, identify micro behaviors, see neighborhoods through lived experience, and gave us access to local knowledge about the social spatial ecosystem of these places, and understand the emotional infrastructure that shapes participation. The macro picture of this research was that despite geographical differences, all 7 neighborhoods share similar pressures, similar fears, similar hopes. Basically, we are looking at an European pattern of neighborhood polycrisis: social, spatial, institutional, economic, and of course, emotional. So we had interviewed residents from Wedding in Berlin. This is the name of the neighborhood. Kameny Potok, I hope I said it well, from Sopot, Poland, Bucaleto in Potenza, Egenland in Graz. In Göteborg is a more specific situation. It's not really a neighborhood. Crostetta and Migliolunga in Reggio Emilia, and Tetovoc in Bucharest. Basically, all the residents from these neighborhoods articulate similar concerns: declining trust in institutions, loss of safe and meaningful public spaces, and a weakened sense of community. Beneath these challenges, though, lies a rich network of local solidarities, informal care, cultural identity, really strong one, and underused ecological assets. Basically, the overview of the current trends are these 2 main ideas: that people feel disconnected, but also our research reveals hope. The people feels disconnected because although they live side by side, they are not really together. They lack safe, welcoming public spaces, third spaces. basically places where community life can grow and have a more meaningful life. Many struggle with hidden vulnerabilities, loneliness, insecurity, economic pressure, or mistrust. Each neighborhood contains quiet strengths, small gardens, local volunteers, cultural diversity, and informal care networks. These are powerful foundation for rebuilding community life in these neighborhoods. In the next part of this presentation, I prepared you some key findings, brief sneak view. Across all cities, residents describe a shared feeling of living next to each other, but not truly together, as I said. And these fragmentations takes different shapes. In high mobility and turnover in Berlin, touristification massively in Sopot, long-term neglect in Bucaletto, institutional complexity in Göteborg, demographic isolation in Graz, vulnerability in Teitobog. Basically, this is the emotional outcome is the same for all these places analyzed. Communities crave connection, but lack the spaces and structures to support it. The second key finding was the lack of third places. Every city reported a shortage of accessible, welcoming shared spaces, places to sit, marketplaces, talk, gather, play, learn, or simply be together. Where spaces exist, they often feel unsafe, poorly maintained, or contested. Basically, this is a consistent European gap, as seen through all these 7 neighborhoods, and one of our strongest actionable insights. The third key find is regarding the youth as a missing voice. Across all cities, young people emerge as the most vulnerable, the most invisible, yet the most central to future cohesion. Adults talk about youth, but youth rarely speak for themselves. This is basically a generational disconnect and a structural risk, as emerged from the research. Youth emerge everywhere as the group with the least support and the fewest opportunities. The fourth key finding is that in institution there is a big low trust. Trust is really fragile in institution, but this is not a surprise for everyone, I think. Somehow we all experienced this, but the reasons differ. We see it in the research. One reason is perceived abandonment, confusing governance, episodic communication, lack of visible follow-up. And this is basically one of the biggest problems. There is no follow-up happening in most of the project and initiatives. Residents do not reject participation. Basically, they reject participation without continuity. This is one of the conclusions we came up to. But as I said, the research reveals some good stuff also, local assets, community strengths. Alongside challenges, each neighborhood contains strong local assets, informal networks, small community initiatives, ecological pockets, active volunteers that are really doing a good job into those specific communities, cultural diversity. Basically, these are seeds of regeneration already presented on the ground. In a few words, what people want is simple: clear communication, visible improvement, and somehow participation that feels meaningful, not symbolic. Just a few words, because I have prepared a kind of big presentation. The macro conclusion of our needs assessment analysis is that empathy mapping and design thinking inspired interviews proved exceptionally effective, capturing unspoken fears, behavioral realities, micro-territorial dynamics, and the emotional ecology of the neighborhoods. Across all 7 sites, residents don't ask for large-scale transformation. They ask for continuity, presence, and small visible improvements that restore dignity and rebuild trust into institution and local governance. The empathy interviews shows that people don't reject participation, they just reject performative participation, just the participation that has to be done to have the X done on the paper that lacks relevance, their lived experience. This is basically the conclusions of this needs assessment last year analysis. Thank you, and I encourage you to have some questions or remarks in the chat.
Now we'll have a small break of 5 minutes, and we're waiting for your questions, and we'll discuss them when we come back from the break. I think we can start again. So please, if you have any questions regarding everything that was presented until now, any curiosities, any clarifications that you might feel necessary.
I have a curiosity. You said like you interviewed more than 100 people. I don't remember now the right number. But how did you like promote the project to them? How did you get people on board and interested in being part of this process? I suppose there are like also country specificities, so each of you like worked in different ways. And I'm also interested in how different countries, like the different approaches also.
Thank you for the question. I can start answering from our side. Bucharest regarding we started from municipality actually. We try to find out which are the views on the neighborhoods, and afterwards we went through informal networks to residents. This was basically our main way to start the conversation going, and in the same time we contacted local NGOs that are active in the neighborhoods, and also with some professor from academia concerned by the crises that are there in the neighborhoods. So for Romania, this was the starting point of having the discussion started, but I think this is a very good question for all the partners. So each of you who are
Yeah, maybe I can say a few words about this as well, because yeah, you're right, it was like 20 interviews per partner, 10 with stakeholders and 10 with residents. In Graz, we were would say lucky because we have a neighborhood office in the district, which is our neighborhood. So we've started thinking about, okay, who are our partner organizations with whom we have contact, NGOs, what are the stakeholders in the neighborhood, and try to reach out to them. But as we said, we have like an honest conversation. Not all of them like had time or interest. Most of them did, but not all of them. And then we talk to people who came to visit the neighborhood center, but not only because we thought it would be a bit biased if they use something already there. So we also try to talk to a few people on the street as well. So this was our approach. It wasn't always easy because, well, time is of essence for the people. And yeah, but we had long talks, we had short talks. So yeah, from our side a little bit. Maybe we can have a third partner say something, or maybe from somebody who isn't talking in the conference today. I'm not sure who's there.
Maybe I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
I could not find the hand to mark, but in Poland it's more or less the same. We contact the neighborhoods network, the local activists, people who engage in the local actions. It's one of the group, and it was interview, talks, and this deep interviews. Where we ask deep question in the formula. The second group was the social workers, professionals who work in our local community, and the third group, decision makers. Yeah. We also ask the local NGOs about the needs, about they could show us the communities or persons who could be useful for our research, and that's it. Yeah, it was like this. Thank you.
If I can, first here inside. So for us, we have the luck to be like our office is in the neighborhood that we are working with. So we are already implemented in the neighborhood, let's say. So I think we already had some contacts, some local people living here, some colleagues, and also then some colleagues knew some other NGOs or stakeholders. So I think it really helped to already be working in the neighborhood in order to be able to find people to interview. And yeah, I mean, it was a struggle for sure because people are shy and it's always like the questions are a bit personal, I would say, and to some extent. But because we had some time to make the interviews and also the support of other colleagues, I think was quite a smooth process. Am I forgetting something, Christina, or no? Okay.
No, I think it was full. Thank you.
Probably I can add something for the Italy because I'm Giulia Basti from E35 Foundation, Reggio Emilia. I can speak about something different, I think, because of our nature, because we are a public foundation. So we start in another way. We start speaking with administration, with some functionary, with some employee. And starting from this kind of interview, they define and tell us who could be involved. So it's something in the opposite way, but the result is the same. So we start to the public, and we found together with the administration, the neighborhood who could be interesting to work with, and then we define the people that could be interviewed. So I know that someone is connected now, and thank you. And so is another way. It's not easy because it's not easy to find a way to explain also the meaning and the goal of the project, but I think it was very interesting.
Thank you.
And maybe just to add to all this, because it's a very important question and it's really an important part of our project, is that when we get these contacts will accompany us through the whole project, and people that we interviewed and hopefully many others will take part of this stakeholder panel that we were discussing about, that I presented in the beginning.
Yes, I see raise a hand. So Rasha.
Hi, my name is Rasha. I work in a community center or neighborhood center in Berlin, part of the stakeholders. So thank you. I'm interested to know if you intend to present the results of all these neighborhoods a bit differentiated or like separately in some format. What were the sort of like results in regards to Berlin wedding, for example, or on how does it compare to other ones? I mean, I've seen you have a collective results and points from all the comparative research of all the neighborhoods, but I don't know if it plays any part in your presentation of the results to have make, let's say, results or suggestions about the separate cases as well, if it makes sense anyway for the project. Thank you.
Maybe I can answer a little, and then I give the floor to others if I understand well. So basically, we are still in the analysis moment of all these results, so we didn't have the time to go really deep in each locality. But of course, this is also an idea, because we, as you will see, we had also other activities during this first year, understanding in the local situations from other aspects. And at the end, we will have a global picture. And it's really great that, Rasha, you asked it, because I think that it's really a good idea also that in the future we will create some summary of all the local results. And of course, we will use them in our further activities, like the game development and the curriculum. So all these will be the basis of our activities. But I give the floor to my colleagues who want to add something.
Well, but I can say something as well, because it's pretty much the same for the good practices, and I think we will, because I will start talking about them really soon, like next minute. I think we now analyzed it as a whole, and we're looking for what's different between the cities and neighborhoods, and what's the same, and it's actually a really good idea, because we have the information. We just have to look at it like a little bit different, I feel. And we're gonna have a handbook. We're gonna have a curriculum where we can document those things really well, I hope, and also put them together so we can use them for our, as already said, for our game, and for the rest of the people. And okay. So maybe I should start with saying hello again. I'm Charlie from Graz, Stadtlabor, because and we have another Q&A session. We can have maybe people talk with that, but it's not my turn. I've just figured out.
Let's go towards, and maybe at the end, if we have time, we can use this interactive part that
Okay,
we do here.
perfect.
Okay.
We think, yeah, we are not running behind, and we are good on time.
Yeah, just
Sorry,
use
I
the
was
time for.
I was eager to speak. Sorry, Christina, but perfectly. Yeah, so I work Stadtlabor is the second time we are partnering with this consortium. We started with Justurbanities 2.0. By trade, I'm a social worker and a mediator, but 8 years now I work for Stadtlabor as a project manager. We have different participation projects on local level, state level, European level. I also have run a neighborhood office for 8 years now in a different part of town. So I think I have a little bit of experience. And I will talk to you really short about the good practices, because not only did we talk to a lot of people about the neighborhoods, but we also thought about ourselves, okay, where can we get good information, where can we get good insight. So we were collecting good practices, and that was part of our work package 3 as well. And our goal was to collect from every city at least 2 practices. In the end, we collected 16 because all of them were good and they were really interesting and helpful to us. And yeah, we thought about, okay, what is essential to us. We thought, of course, what's the impact on polycrisis? What else is important? Are they working really good? Can we put, maybe if somebody finds them interesting, can they be reproduced in a different neighborhood, in a different city? So that was all things we had to think about it. And the purpose of the collection is threefold. So firstly, to document good innovative practice. Second, to provide a knowledge base for the development, as we said, for our learning game, but also for our curriculum. And third, to support, as also already said as well, transferability and scalability to similar initiatives. So that's, I think, is our main goal. If somebody reads about our practices, hears about them and thinks, oh, that's something interesting, we could implement that as well. So how did we do it? How did we collect these practices? First of all, as I said, we thought about, okay, what's the criteria for our selection? So we said the relevance to the polycrisis must be imminent. The participatory character, of course, is very important. And as I already said, the potential for scalability. So aligned with those ideas, and also that the Erasmus Plus priorities are in those practices like inclusion, sustainability, etc. We tried to find 1 to 3 examples during our 7 cities. And for that, we used the template so everybody could fill the important things in, like the context, the objectives, of course, what participation strategy was used, what was the outcomes, is it still ongoing, what's the lessons learned, etc., etc. So we collected those practices also during this year from March to September. Then we had a time frame, a review at the standardization phase, because well, every city is a little bit different. So we did this to ensure the comparability of the practices, and also we can use it as a pedagogical resource. So they had to look a little bit the same. So we had to do this phase as well. Next, we after collection and after standardization, the next step for us was to make sense of these diverse practices, of course. The analyzation we did was along 4 dimensions. So we thought about the theme, the thematic focus. We thought about what crisis type were addressed, how strong was the participation intensity, and what was the spatial scale like. So this framework helps us to understand the patterns. So for example, whether a practice is more focused on food systems rather than maybe cultural participation. Of course, everybody who works along those lines knows that those lines are often, blurred because one practice can address, of course, more things and more problems as well. So yeah, and we had a look. How deep was the participation level? Was it more like a consultation, or did we go up the ladder of participation all the way, and it was maybe a co-management thing going on already? And then whether it just operates at neighborhood level or citywide, or even maybe in a bigger scale as well, maybe statewide. So for us, these dimensions are crucial for designing our educational tools. Let's have a real quick look at just 2 examples really briefly. We will have them, all of them, collected in our documentation, our handbook, but just so you have a little bit of feeling of what those practices were like. So let me start with one we did actually here in Austria, in Graz. It was called Durchwegs im Austausch. That was a participatory urban development project in our neighborhood in Eggenland. And it used neighborhood walks, dialogue formats, and creative signage to foster trust and visibility for local resources. We also made some online maps so people could get to know the neighborhood even better. And on a kind of, I would say, bigger scale, the neighborhood grew to get a little bit more. Second, I would like to talk about the renewable and solidarity energy community in Bucaletto, which is part of the town or city, I should say, Potenza in Italy. Luckily, we just had our 3rd transnational partner meeting there, and we could have an excursion there, and we could have we saw it for ourselves. So that's a community-led energy transition initiative, which installed photovoltaic systems to reduce energy poverty in this neighborhood. Actually, it's a neighborhood where I think, what was it, 45 years ago, people had to move because a really strong earthquake destroyed lots of parts of Potenza. So it was just planned that this neighborhood is just temporary, but the temporary part is now 45 years. So very interesting neighborhood. And well, as we said, they put solar panels here. You can see it on a church, and they combine technical innovation with civic participation, and they reinvest savings into social initiatives. So these 2 examples show you how the practices integrate environmental, social, and governance dimensions. Well, and and I just want to talk 2 more minutes about what key lessons did we learn, because same with the interviews, we found things that were the same with all the good practices and in all of 7 cities. And we identified for us 5 key lessons. And the first one, and most important one, I think, is, which we kind of knew, but it's nice to have it proven when we do some some kind of research, that participation is a form of resilience. So it's very important to the people, to the neighborhoods as well. And also very important, the small-scale interventions. Sorry, losing some electricity, which isn't good. Okay, already said. Sorry, what did I say? I say, okay, that no, sorry, I'm thrown off. That the small-scale interventions can have systemic impact. That means, so even, well, in my case, I often work with small groups of people, and sometimes, you know, you think about, do we have an impact? Is something happening with that? But with the good practices we collected, it shows. Sometimes it takes a little time, but even if you work on a small scale, it has a bigger systemic impact. Now, yeah. Okay. Technical issues hopefully resolved. I'm almost done anyways. So also really important is to use creativity and informality to lower barriers for the inclusion. That's something which is, I think, really important, that people, that we are not, that people can get involved really easily if it's, let's say, more fun, but even if you just, lower the threshold. And also you need some trusted intermediaries, such as the local facilitators, schools, or NGOs. Those are really essential to help in different practices. And then, as well, it's very important that the integrated responses to polycrisis are necessary. What does that mean? It means right now with the things going on, it's not only possible to just address like one isolated problem, but you have to have a wider view, and really you have to address multiple interconnected problems at once. So these insights will guide us for the development of our Justurbanities curriculum and the game. And for us, it's really, with all the research and everything we do, it's really important that we don't produce like a product or a learning tool which comes, you know, just out of the books, but has spaces in real life and what we believe that good practices who work. So that's how we did it and how we worked, and we'll see how it's going further. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie. Do we still have the interactive exercise now, or do you want to go to the next step for Maxine to talk about foresight methods?
Let's go, I think, and we will see at the end how much time we have.
Okay, so Maxine, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was muted. So my name is Maxine. I am also working as a project manager at the Comparative Research Network with a background in social science, politics, and European studies. And today I will be talking about foresights. But the first question might be, what is a foresight? How do I go to the next slide?
You ask for...
I asked, but...
Back and forth.
Then you just click on the arrow. Yes.
Okay, but I didn't do this. Okay, well, thank you. So the word foresight has multiple and complex definitions. One of them is that it's a collaborative process where diverse groups or people collectively explore, envision, and shape desirable futures, especially towards sustainability. Foresight calls for the power of imaginations in times where uncertainty and bleakness make it increasingly hard to imagine positive futures. So foresight activities are both flexible and complex. The aim is not a prediction of the future, but rather an analysis of the current trends and their consequences. In this regard, foresights create the possibility of multiple futures and scenarios. So as you can see on the screen, I put the cone of future, which is a cone where you can see now and with time the potentiality of things that can happen. So what this means is that foresights are used to talk more about the present than the future, in fact, because it's when we are talking about planning the future or understanding the different scenarios that can happen that we actually spread and share with others our vision of the present. So we have multiple ways of doing foresights. I put on the screen exploratory, so deductive. When you start with the past and present, you analyze the causalities and interferences that leads you to have scenarios, so multiple scenarios. But you also have the other way around, where your starting points are different scenarios. You study their causalities and interferences, and that leads you to understand the past and present. So there are also several foresight activities that exist, depending on the questions that you want to study and the wishes of the participants or the people facilitating. You can go towards more of a trend analysis with foresight, so trying to understand patterns of change in society, technology, economics, the environment. Or you can go towards scenario building, exploring various possible futures, including best case, worst case, and most likely scenarios. It can also be used for long-term thinking, so extending beyond immediate concerns to anticipate future shifts or disruption. And you have multiple types of foresight, so mainly two of them are used, let's say, strategic foresights, but in our case, we focused more on participatory foresights. The goal of participatory foresights is to have inclusivity. They are designed to be inclusive, to be moments of co-creations and a way to democratize the vision of the future. So with participatory foresights, you can gather different perspectives, especially from those excluded from strategic decisions, with focuses that are not only on the outcome, but also on the process of learning, on empowerment and collective sense-making. The tools that are used are scenario planning, trends analysis, horizon scanning, just as presented, and the outcomes are typically action-oriented and towards strategic decision-making or they can take the format of workshops, some things that we have done in Berlin and also in the partners organization, forums, storytelling sessions. And for this, yes, thank you. And for this, we have multiple methodologies. I'm going to present 3 of them that we have used. The first one is the futures wheel. The goal, as you can see on the left, is kind of a mapping where you choose to focus on a situation or a crisis and you ask yourself these questions. In the core, what is the main trend or change linked to the crisis that may have an impact on the future of a neighborhood? And then you go towards the direct consequences. What are the direct consequences of those signal of changes linked to the crisis, and then indirect consequences linked to the direct and the crisis? We also have another methodology that is called Vision of the Future. In this methodology, you have 4 steps. It's pretty self-explanatory. The first step is to present and discuss the current crisis or situation in the neighborhoods. Then you put the participants in groups or alone, and they can reflect on how they imagine the future of the neighborhoods based on the initial situation. In a third step, they can present their visions. You have multiple ways of doing so. Either they give a headline from the future, so in the shape of a newspaper, or a day in the future with a visual diagram, collage, or even role play or video. And the fourth steps is to gather the participants together and discuss their findings and their thoughts. A third methodology that we've used is the 2x2 matrix. In this one, you have a X and Y axis with positive changes and negative changes, and you can place yourself where you want on this matrix and then do a scenario from this on. For example, if you place yourself on the top right corner, you would have a strengthened civil sector and improvement of social policies, and then you could imagine how that would have an impact on your current crisis or situation in your neighborhood. In order to present the results of the 2x2 matrix, we have used, and this is also something that can be used in other methodologies, the STEEP framework. So this framework is a way of building your scenario, like you ask yourself questions in the different aspects. So STEEP stands for social, technological, economic, environmental, political, and then you build your scenario on filling those different categories. So yeah, we have used foresight activities to provide us in the project with insights of the people's vision of their neighborhoods and their needs, to understand local trends, and then it will help us to better shape our curriculum and at the same time teach people how to reflect on the short-term and long-term consequences of trends in the present, as well as building local scenarios. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we had a local workshop in Berlin in June, where we studied those methodologies and more, because we had 3 days to do this. So the goal was to understand the methodologies among all partners among the consortium and enable all the participants to replicate the workshop on the local levels, which is what has been done until recently. And that is on the next slide. Thank you. So yeah, we had local workshops in Berlin, in Wedding, in Reggio Emilia, in the Fenulin neighborhoods, Potenza, Bucharest, and Sopot. And I'm going to tell you some of the results that we found or some of the scenarios. So in Berlin, we have found out with the visions of the future that lots of the discussion revolved around the fact that there's a current link of current dysfunctionalities of the local administration and a lack of accessibility of public spaces, as well as poverty, and people build from that their scenarios. In Reggio Emilia, the visions on the future, they imagine an improvement of the situation of a marginalized community with different expected visions for the future, such as a future neighborhood that would offer sports facilities for kids in order to avoid early school dropouts, a neighborhood with open cultural spaces 24/7, such as a library, music rooms, community centers, that would create what they called a welfare community. And they also would love to implement a local newspaper and public events to increase safety in the neighborhood. In Potenza, their vision of the future was that it would be great to implement a dialogue between the city and Bucaleto, their neighborhoods, which is an economically deprived area, currently having a lack of sustainable mobility. So in their future scenario, they imagine more sustainable mobility and discussions. For Bucharest, they had current vision, short-term vision, and long-term visions. And right now they're underlining the lack of safety, basic infrastructure, and trust in institutions. And on the long term, the participants want a neighborhood with basic services, active participation, social care for battling inequalities. Yeah. in Sopot, they also had this future visions. The participants imagined a future of Kamieni Potok as strongly shaped by social cohesion with an access to shared spaces, a balance between tourism and residents' needs. They explored a scenario shaped by growing civic engagement and budget cut by the government. So they used this 2x2 matrix and put a pin on it and chose their scenario according to those settings. And in this scenario, grassroots initiative, volunteering, and informal cooperation would play a central role in maintaining social life and addressing everyday needs. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
So would you like to go through the through the interactive exercise now, or do we have any questions? Anybody?
Maybe before the questions, but does anybody?
No, it was like just out of curiosity. I suppose that some of the participants in the first site were also like people interviewed, right? And I was just curious to understand how did they react if you like, I mean, they felt sort of empowered of the fact that after you interviewed them, you also gave them this opportunity to create the future for the neighborhood. Or did you also give them like a feedback of the empathy interviews? I'm just curious about this relationship among these two different activities.
I can answer from our side. Of course, when we organized the local workshop, we invited everyone that was interviewed. The problem is always time, in the sense that people, most of them were not available. I think they were happy to be invited. They were happy to take part in the conversations. For some of them, they even sent us an email being like, okay, we can't be here, but we would love to have the conclusions of the event. And so this is, at least from our side, how it played out. So they were happy to be invited, but let's say that most of them could not come. But we have like further meetings, local game jams and stuff, so we will still invite them. And I think this is also the goal of the, I don't know how we called it, I don't remember, the fact that they can be stakeholder, part of the stakeholder panel.
Panel.
Mm-hmm.
Group panel.
Yes. So yeah, that's it for me. If the other partners want to jump in.
Yeah, I can say this almost the same thing. And I also think that's very important when it's possible to link all the steps of the project, because for the people sometimes is frustrating to do not see what happened with the words spent, with the thought shared. So the idea to be to show that the interview are all part of a thought and will be used in the project, I think is very important, and they deserve it. So the same for us is the same.
It adds something. From the Polish side, it was more like the same, but we concentrate to invite the local inhabitants and local leaders, and we invite personally, sending the information according to the interviews, and remind a few times to be sure that they will come. But of course, it was to some of them did not come. That we have to recruit new one to ask, and yeah. But finally, it was a good experience. we saw also and felt that the community portal have no such a place to do this kind of activities for the 10 or 12 persons. We did it in the local library. It was a small place, and we had to do this twice. But yeah, it's a challenge to invite people into the process and have his attention during 2 or 3 hours. But finally, it was a good experience, and yeah, we're happy we did it. Thank you. If I'm still with you.
Maybe I can talk about the situation in Potenza. Everybody, nice to see you. I'm Andrea from Euronet, just to present myself because I did not do it before. And in our case, we had some stakeholder, other NGO we collaborate with for the project, and some inhabitants. Some of them we had already interviewed, some other not. And first thing, it was really interesting to see how the inhabitants have different idea of the future of the neighborhood. And the second thing that was really important is that I feel that in that moment during the training, the people that was involved before become to understand a little bit better, which is the intent and the meaning of all the project. That is, I think that is not easy to communicate to them just during the interview part of the project. So that's it, more or less. It was really, really interesting moment to deal with inhabitants and proactive people and to understand the real situation and the perspective that they have for the situation of the neighborhood. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
If I may, does any of you have any tips and tricks on how to get better engagement with people? Because I hear a lot that a lot of people couldn't make time for that, but maybe something may convince them, may make it more attractive to attend these meetings and these processes.
I think that it's really a question of time and trust to have more people engaged. And what you can see in I think in all these cases is that we started like a year ago these processes, and we however managed to gather a certain number of people in each of the cities. Of course, most of our partners have already had an outreach to people on the local level, but not everywhere. And for example, in Potenza, it was really, I think, something started a little bit now, or and maybe for also the others partners who had already contacts and engagement with communities, it was also a good way to put it in a different level or change a little bit the topics and the way of contacts. Maybe Charlie can have a word on that, or Piotr, who are very active on the local level as organizations, and also CRN is getting more and more. So I think it needs really a lot of time, but maybe also people from the audience has experiences of this, and you are also very welcome to add your points and ideas. I see Benny. Maybe.
Yes, Benny.
Yes, thank you. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. I also agree with Christina. It's a time-consuming process, and yeah, people it's difficult to find time. But actually, I think that what you are doing is quite good, and it's a way of facilitating citizen engagement, and that's what we really need nowadays with the decreasing trust on public institutions and etc. Perhaps one of the ways to improve and encourage citizen involvement would be that we bring on the challenges, the real challenges that they have. That's the best way of connecting to the real world with people. If they see that there is a way of engaging to be able to help finding solutions together, that's perhaps the best way to engage citizens. That's how I see it. Thank you.
And if I may add, it's also a little bit the objective of our project. And while working on a gamification and playing and gaming is always something that is engaging. So when we will do this local game tests, local game jams, and other activities, it might help also to bring together people in a different way, in a funny way. Yeah, we have message of Isabella who is leaving. Thank you for being here and keeping updated about the follow-up of the project. Do you have any other questions from the audience? While you are maybe thinking, I would like to raise your attention on a little game we prepared for you as an interactive activity. You can open this game with the QR code that is now on the screen, or you can use the link which is just in the chat as well. This game is coming from one of the practices that we created in our Berlin workshop for the foresight activities. We created crisis cards and solution cards, and one of the activities was for the participants to take one crisis card, and then they got some solution cards, and they had to think about the future based on these solution cards to see if these solutions that they took from the pile respond to the crisis or not, and if not, they had to change and bargain between each other, like at a market of solutions. And so this is how we practiced a little bit the three horizons method of foresight, where when you start from the present, you see a far future as a solution, and then you think about what are the changes that you need to do in a medium future in order to achieve your expected scenarios. So here, this is a game. Please open it and try to pair or match crises with solutions. This is the game. I hope it will make sense for you. We cannot see what you are doing because it's not shareable in this way. But you are very welcome to give your feedback either now or at a later stage. And also to use these learning apps if you want for your teaching or presenting or any other activities if you haven't known it before. Maybe you can give us some feedbacks on this or other questions if you have.
I think while people are using it because it was new to us as well, Christina. So and I like the idea that you could. I mean, it's not, of course just a mini game, but I think doing it in workshops, doing it online, or just with people on the phone, just to get into like a workshop started, an icebreaker, or just set people's mind to like a specific target or I'm losing my words. A theme, or so you can put your own words in there, your own thematic focus. So I think it's pretty useful. Something I will try out for sure as well in other settings. Just to get people focused, a little bit creative, and as we know, gamification always helps. People can be playful. They're more open to participation and working together, I think.
Yes, thank you, Charlie. I think it's absolutely the case. And it was also maybe a good way to put it at the end of this day, because it's a little transfer to our second year, which I said will be about gamification and game design. Of course, we will do many different games, and we are currently working on our local game jams. We are preparing them, and they will be running in January. So for all the people who are coming from the different cities, localities, this is also a call for participation. Each partner will, of course, launch an invitation to the local game jams, where we will think about game ideas. Yeah, the Berlin Game Jam will be on the 15th of January, and I think we can also provide you the dates of each city. So this will be a nice experience also to gather people from the local level, as an answer to Benny, how to engage people for gaming and thinking together. And all these ideas will be then transferred to the game through or after a transnational game jam, and then the big work of the game design, which will be done by our Italian and Swedish partners, and then will be tested again on the local level. So we are really looking forward to this. And next year, when we will have our second online conference, we hope that you will all be there too again. We will be able to present you maybe a first prototype of this game and curriculum. But let's see if every partner maybe can just tell the date of these game jams as an information. So Berlin will be on the 15th of January. And Graz?
13th of January.
And Potenza?
Around the second week of January, we try to fix between the 10 and 15, more or less.
Okay.
Can you please write them in the chat so that everybody can see them and save them maybe if they're interested?
So Graz, the 14th, right?
13th, what's the
January. Yeah. Reggio Emilia on the 19th. Potenza the second week. We don't have yet exactly the date. Yeah. Between the 10th and the 17th. So in a month. And of course, we will keep you updated. Also, from everything that was said now, we are planning to create a handbook. We are currently working on this handbook, writing it, and it will be, of course, distributed, and you will all be informed about that. You can work on it and read it online. And of course, also the local knowledge, the local information will be shared with everybody locally by all partners. Benny, do you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this game. Actually, I managed to match all those different pieces of puzzle together. It was a very fun game to play, and I enjoyed. Just a comment, perhaps on the design aspect of the game. Sometimes when you work with participants, citizens, and you want to engage them more freely to express themselves, it gives a feeling that you have predefined solutions and predefined problems that you want them to match. So could be when it comes to the design of the game, if you, for instance, give them the space to express themselves. For instance, if someone comes up with an alternative solution to the heat problem in Europe, or perhaps for the drug or health issues, perhaps, then we also encourage citizens to be more engaged, and we also provide the channels to receive more ideas, perhaps. That was just a general comment. Thank you. But thanks, it was interesting, actually.
Yeah, thank you. I think it will be like it was in the previous projects, and Andrea can tell a lot about that. We had a lot of discussions about that because games usually simplify things. Of course, this game that now you could test, it's a very simple one. It's really for very basic plays, very basic game. It's really for a learning app. But also our game will not be how to say all nuanced as the life is. But this is why we also have the curriculum, because the curriculum will be a more interactive part. So the two together gives a combination that can be used in teaching activities nicely. Yeah, thank you, Rasha, for being with us, and keep in touch. Okay, so maybe I give back the word to Maria, and we can slowly finish this session.
Yes, so thank you everybody for joining us in this conference. We hope we'll meet you in our next events also. And we're very interested to receive feedback from you so that we can improve conferences in future. And also for our work, anything that might help is very welcome. So thank you for attending, and I wish you a very nice evening and happy holidays.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for all partners for this great event.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Danke.
Thank you.
Tschüss.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Hey.